All right, good morning. Welcome back. I feel like we had a lot of success here when we were in the classroom with finding area given our radius, but let's go over one just to be sure. So I'm given a radius 7 inches, and where do I plug in my radius? Where does my radius value go in this equation? Well, radius goes with r, so the area would be pi times r squared, or 49 times pi, which is approximately, 49 times pi, 153.94 square inches. And again, use your calculator for this one. So you can try 2 and 3 if you really want to, but let's really focus on finding the radius length given the area. So here, we were given the radius. We substituted 7 in for that radius length. But now using, area equals pi times r squared, what am I going to do if I'm given the area? What do I do there? Well, where do I put the area value in this equation? Well, let's put the area where area goes. So 4 pi equals pi times r squared. And I want to solve for r squared. So what do I need to get rid of? Well, I've got to get rid of pi. And how do I get rid of a pi? What's the opposite of multiplying by pi here? The opposite of multiplying by pi is dividing by pi. So 4 equals r squared. And now our very last step, I want to get r by itself. So let's get rid of this exponent. And what's the opposite of squaring a number? The opposite of squaring is square rooting. So square root of 4 is going to be my radius. So the radius must be 2. All right, let's try this one here. So area still equals pi r squared, pi times r squared. Now, if this is my area, where am I going to substitute the area value in to this equation? Where would the area value go? Well, I should put the area value where it says area. So 196 equals, 196 pi equals pi times r squared. And I want to get this r squared by itself. That's what I'm trying to solve for. So what do I need to get rid of to get that r squared by itself? Well, I've got to get rid of this pi. And how do I get rid of that pi? What's the opposite of multiplying by pi? Well, it'd be dividing by pi. So 196 equals r squared. And now I want to get rid of the exponent to get r by itself. So what's the opposite of squaring a number? That's just square rooting. So square root of 196 equals r. So r is 14. I'll do one more with you, then I'll leave you to do the last 3. And then we'll do a couple volume and we'll call it a day. So finding each radius length here given the area. So area is pi times r squared. Now, where am I going to substitute in the area into my equation? Where would the area go in there? Well, area should go in the area spot. So 81 pi equals pi r squared. And I want to get the r squared by itself. So what do I need to get rid of? What needs to go away? Well, the pi's got to go away. And how do I get rid of multiplying by pi? What's the opposite of multiplying by pi? Well, that would be dividing by pi. So 81 equals r squared. And I want to get r by itself. I want to get rid of that exponent. So what is the opposite of squaring a number? Well, that's square rooting. So square root of 81 equals r, which means that r must be 9. All right, I'll leave you guys to finish those last three. Here's a hint for you. That's kind of a 1 sneaking out in front of pi, so 1 pi. I'll leave you guys to finish those last three, and we'll talk about finding radius lengths of spheres. So given the, and here's my typo for the day. Let's just make this here we go. Given the volume of the sphere, let's find the radius length. So what do we need to know here? We've got to know that volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Now, what am I given? I'm given the volume. But where am I going to substitute in the volume in this equation? Where would the volume go? Well, the volume's got to go in the volume spot for V. So 4 pi equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And our first step, if you remember, anytime we were solving for a radius, whether it was a circle or a sphere, we always got rid of pi first. So we divided pi out of both sides. So 4 equals 4/3 r cubed. And then we said, well, I'm trying to get the r cubed by itself, so what needs to go? What needs to be divided from this side? So 4/3 needs to go away, so I can do the opposite of multiplying by 4/3. I can divide by 4/3. So 3 equals r cubed. And then our very, very last step here. I want to get rid of that exponent. What's the opposite of cubing a number? Well, that would be cube rooting. So r would be the cube root of 3, which is approximately, let's see, what is the cube root of 3? 1.44 units. 1.44 units. All right, let's do the next two together, and then I will leave you to do the last two, or last three rather. And then you can just let me know if there are any questions you've got. So volume, again, I'm given the volume is 51 pi, and where in the world would I put the volume in this equation? Where would the volume go? Well, the volume should go in the volume spot. So 51 pi equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And now our first step every time was to divide by pi. So 51 equals 4/3 r cubed. And now I'm trying to get r cubed by itself. So what do I need to get rid of on this side of the equal sign? What needs to go away? Well, 4/3 needs to go away. And what's the opposite of multiplying by 4/3? Well, that would be dividing by 4/3. So 4/3, if I divide 51 divided by 4/3, I get 38.25 equals r cubed. And now our very, very last step here. I want to get rid of that exponent. So what's the opposite of cubing a number? And it's cube rooting. So I can take the cube root of 38.25, and r is approximately 3.37 units. And our last one here. Here's my volume. Where in this equation should I be putting my volume, my 86 pi? Well, in this equation, I should probably substitute the volume in for the volume. So let's do just that. So 86 pi equals 4/3 pi. That's not a good looking. So 4/3 pi r cubed. And what am I trying to solve for here? I'm trying to solve for r cubed. So what needs to go away? What needs to get out of that side of the equation? Well, I've got to get rid of pi. So I can divide by pi. So 86 equals 4/3 r cubed. Now, I'm still trying to solve for r cubed. So what needs to go on this side? What needs to be eliminated from that side of the equation? Well, I need to get rid of 4/3. And what's the opposite of multiplying by 4/3? Well, that would be dividing by 4/3. So 86 divided by 4/3 gets me 64.5 equals r cubed. And now again, I want to get r by itself. I need to get rid of this exponent. So what's the opposite of cubing a number? Well, that would be cube rooting. So the cube root of 64.5 is going to be r, or r equals 4.01 units. All right, I'll leave the last three up to you guys. Let me know what other questions you have.